Aries, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of September. So before I dive into this is going to be most applicable for your rising sign, which is the sign that rules your first house. If you're not sure what that is, you can run. There's lots of software out there. Just run a free birth chart with your time and your, obviously, birth date and the location where you're born. And that's how other people see you, especially when they first meet you. It's still applicable for your sun sign, which is how you express yourself. And then also your moon sign, which is how you process everything internally through that emotional lens. And so understanding all three will kind of give you a little bit more of how the month is going to play out. Jumping into the energy of September, we have another planet stationing retrograde. And so just to kind of recap where we are from a retrograde standpoint, because there's quite a few, we've got Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, Chiron in Aries, and what we're actually going to see this month is that Pluto actually goes back into Capricorn. So this is going to be a very, it's a lot of internal change. Let's just put it this way. So kind of kick-starting the month, we have Uranus stationed retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So that happens on the 1st at 11:18 in the morning Eastern time. Uranus is the planet of sudden change. So think of Aquarius type of energy. Let's liberate, let's break things free of their constrictions and limitations. And so it's a tearing down of structures type of energy. But because Uranus is now retrograde, a lot of that is reflected inward. And so in the sign of Taurus, for you, this is related to your personal finances, things that you value. And so there might be some sort of sudden change in your relationship with money, in your relationship with what you value. It's like all of a sudden you're just going to be different towards it. You're going to have a different way of viewing it, thinking about it, all of it, because that is an internal change here. But that internal change is going to easily flow if you're married with your marriage partner in some sort of significant relationship, because Uranus retrograde will trine Venus in the sign of Libra. And Venus in Libra is sitting in your 7th house of those personal one-to-one connections, but really your marriage partner or significant other. Uranus retrograde will also trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And so these are both planets of transformation. Uranus, sudden change. Pluto is death and rebirth. And so this is really about transformation. And so in the sign of Aquarius for you is your community. So your friends, think of like all your friendships together. What does that look like? The community around you. Whatever changes are happening within your finances and really your relationship to your finances here, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes are happening in your circle of friends, within your tribe. Like thinking along the lines of how often do you go out with your friends, what kind of, how much money do you spend when you go out with your friends? So again, like an easy blend of energy, all of that's really coming together. All of that change is really starting to blend. We'll also have Uranus retrograde sextile Neptune retrograde. And so Neptune retrograde for you is sitting in the sign of Pisces. That occupies your 12th house, which is your internal self. And so Neptune in Pisces is, how do you want to be seen? How do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Really think deep and really internal about who you want to be. And so anything that's changing as it relates to your relationship with money or the things that you value, it's creating some sort of opportunity for you to really think about and evaluate who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen? Because it does start internally before it starts kind of becoming an external influence where other people will see it too. So it's really about getting clear on the inside on who you want to be. Uranus retrograde in Taurus will also square the moon in Leo. And so we've got Uranus and Taurus sitting in your house of personal finances again, so your relationship with money. It is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge here. So moon in Leo, for you, this is sitting in your 5th house. So this is the house of fun. So for you, if you have children, they would be in this house, any kind of hobbies. If you don't have a significant other, this would be those short-term relationships that you enter into. And so how do you feel about your children or your hobbies, those short-term relationships? Whatever's happening connected to your relationship with money or the things that you value, it's creating some sort of obstacle here about maybe expressing yourself. Like if there's something where maybe you used to spend a lot of money on your children or you used to spend a lot of money on hobbies, but now your relationship with money is changing. And so now this would have some sort of conflict that you can work through. It's very possible, but it will exist here when it comes to spending money on your children or, whatever hobbies that you have. We'll also have Uranus and Taurus square Mercury in the sign of Leo. And so again, conversations now as it relates to children. So these could be difficult conversations with your children where you're trying to maybe save more money to buy a house, like just putting that out there as a hypothetical, but things that you might be doing as it relates to your personal finances, and any kind of conflict, any kind of challenge that comes up as it relates to your hobbies, anything that you're passionate about, your children, things like that. Then on the same day, we have another big one. So that was at 11:18 in the morning when Uranus stationed retrograde. At 8:08 p.m. Eastern time on the 1st, still on the 1st, we have Pluto re-enter the sign of Aquarius. So what's happening here is Pluto was moving. It was moving forward. It moved from Capricorn into Aquarius, and then it went retrograde, which means it's just moving backwards now. It looks like it's moving backwards. It's not actually moving backwards, but it's getting too detailed. So it's moving backwards, and really it's now re-entering the sign of Capricorn. So it's going to re-enter the sign of Capricorn at 8:08 p.m. on the 1st Eastern time, and it's actually going to be here for a while. So on October 11th, it will station direct, which means now it's starting to move back. So it's got to kind of recapture all that ground that it in Capricorn and before it moves back into Aquarius. And so it's not going to move back into Aquarius until November 19th. So we're with this energy for a good like 2.5 months. Then it will be there until March of 2043. So it's going to be it's definitely going to be interesting if the last couple of months have been any kind of indication. And so Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So this is the planet of death and rebirth. This is transformation. For you, this is sitting in your 10th house. And what this is really giving you an opportunity to do is it's closing out a chapter, kind of going back now that you've learned a lot when Pluto was in Aquarius. How do you feel about the structures that you have in place? How do you feel about the game plan that you set for yourself as it relates to your career path? What kind of reconsideration do you need to do? What kind of changes do you need to implement in order to really go after what you want? Or is this even the career that you want for yourself? All of these things might be coming to the surface during this time. And so just putting it out there, this Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, so again, really reconsidering your career path, the steps that you're taking to get there, it's actually going to easily flow with whatever's happening in your significant relationship, your marriage partner, whomever that person is. Because Venus in Libra, so this is an easy flowing energy. Venus in Libra likes to bring people together. Venus rules relationships. So it's looking for harmony and balance within that connection. And so this might be part of the reason that you're reconsidering your career path, or maybe the time that you spend focused on your career. All of these things would come into play. It's not just about that straight and narrow path. It's like everything that kind of goes with it. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn will also trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so, I mean, we saw that earlier in the day when Uranus stationed retrograde. And now what we have here is Pluto entered into Capricorn. So now any kind of reconsideration that you're doing as it relates to your career path, it's easily going to flow with those changes that are happening with your relationship to money or the things that you value here. And so you can see that's an easy flow of energy. If I want to save more, what do I need to do from a career path standpoint? How do I kind of get the two of them into some sort of alignment? Well, this is an easy flowing energy, so it's going to happen more organically. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn will sextile Neptune in Pisces, which is retrograde. And so when you think about your internal self, your ideal vision for yourself, the changes that you're making in your career or public reputation are going to create some sort of opportunity for you to really consider, how do I want to be seen? Is there any kind of modifications I can do in my career to really be seen the way that I want to be seen, or become the person I want to become? So then, because it always starts internal and then it becomes external. This Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is going to square Chiron retrograde in Aries. So Chiron retrograde in Aries. So this is a wound connected to your physical self, that it's sitting in your first house. It's how people see you. So it could actually be some sort of physical wound or something along those lines. And so whatever you're doing in your career, whatever you're reevaluating, transforming within your career, it's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to healing that wound. And so just trying to think of something that might be connected to a wound. Like if you have a wound connected to your public reputation and now you want to be seen a different way, and maybe you were working on it before, but now you're reconsidering the path that you're on, that's going to create some sort of challenge here. You're not going to be able to implement the old ways because you're doing away with those. So, I mean, I am 10 minutes in, and that was just the 1st of September. So on the 2nd of September, there's a lot happening this month. At 9:55 in the evening Eastern time, we have the new moon in the sign of Virgo. I love the new moon in Virgo for you specifically because it impacts your daily life. And so this is a lot of internal expressing yourself, expressing your feelings about things because you've got the sun and the moon here. And so they're at the same degree point in the sky. So it's just an overlapping energy. Virgo is a very healing energy. So these could be healing conversations that you're having. The sun and moon in Virgo will create some sort of challenge here as it relates to conversation that's meant to grow and expand you, or even maybe big picture things. So the sun and moon will square Jupiter and Gemini. But here's the thing with Jupiter and Gemini. First, Jupiter is it's one of two benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter of the two, Jupiter being the more significant. But Jupiter's it's in its worst spot right now in the sign of Gemini. It's the ruler of Sagittarius. Gemini is the opposite of Sagittarius. So the feelings aren't as strong, but Jupiter is still a very positive planet here. So even though this is a square, and even though this might be challenging to have some sort of conversation, because it is Jupiter, it is going to be easier than other squares have been, other things that you need to work through. So if you are looking to grow or expand something here, it's not impossible. You just have to work with the energy just a little bit. The sun and moon in Virgo will be opposite Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So Saturn retrograde. So Saturn, it's all about work. Retrograde, internal work on yourself. Pisces energy. So again, that internal self, your persona, the person that you want to be. The sun and moon, however you're expressing yourself and how you feel in your daily life. It's just creating. It's very opposite to how you want to be or the work that you've been doing on yourself. But I'm not surprised by this energy at all because Saturn it's a slow moving energy. And so these might be things that you've been working on for a while, or you might continue working on for a while. And it just kind of indicates that you need to change your strategy here. Saturn does want to change strategy. Saturn's the ruler of Capricorn. And so it wants strategy and let's come up with a game plan here. Okay, to modify, but you're going to have to work on it. Then we have Mars enter the sign of Cancer. So that's going to happen on September 4th at 3:46 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so when this happens, Cancer occupies your fourth house of home. Mars in Cancer. So Mars is the ruler of your sign. So it's very action oriented. Cancer is very emotional, very deep emotional energy. And so you might be acting out your emotions here at home or about your home. And this could be positive or negative. It doesn't have to be just one. It can be a combination here while Mars is in the sign of Cancer. But when Mars enters Cancer, it's going to sextile Mercury and Leo. And so what it's doing here, however you're expressing yourself or any kind of action you're taking as it relates to your emotions, like really acting out your emotions here, it's creating some sort of opportunity for you to have really bold conversations with your children or hobbies. And hobbies meaning like maybe you use art as a medium of expression. And maybe you're going to be able to step out of your comfort zone and do it a little bit differently because you're going to channel this acting out your feelings through your art. That would be one way that this could happen here. So it's creating an opportunity for you to really express yourself in a very bold way. Mars in Cancer will square the moon in Libra. And this energy here, so whatever you're doing as far as like acting out your emotions at home, it is creating obstacles or challenges here in your significant other relationship. So marriage partner, whomever that person is, it's a challenge you can work through, but it is going to be here. So it's almost like the way that you're expressing yourself, it does create some sort of conflict here with this person, and any kind of balance and harmony that you may have within the connection. It might just kind of shake it up a little bit. Because then we also have Mars in Cancer square Venus in Libra. And so again, all sitting in the same energy. And so Venus likes to bring things together, but with this square energy, it's just making it a little bit more difficult. Venus is one of the benefic planets, so the energy isn't going to be as difficult, but it's still going to be there. And then we will have Mars in Cancer square Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So Neptune retrograde in Pisces, again, thinking about ideally, who do you want to be? What is your ideal persona here? However you're expressing yourself, acting out your feelings at home, it's creating obstacles or challenges to the person that you want to be. And so it just feels like you're acting in a way that is very unlike you on a normal basis. And that's the Mars in Cancer energy. So just kind of keep that in mind. So that happens on the 4th. And then on the 9th, we have Mercury enter the sign of Virgo. So that's going to happen at 2:50 in the morning Eastern time. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. And in Virgo, so this is about conversations. These would be deep, meaningful conversations, maybe healing conversations. Virgo for you is sitting in your 6th house. So that's your daily life, and your daily life meaning the things that you do on a regular basis, like a health and wellness routine, any kind of work schedule that you have, things that you do on a regular basis, not like those one-off parties that you go to occasionally. This would be that kind of day-to-day thing. And so however you're expressing yourself at home, it's actually going to help heal whatever wound has been coming to the surface. So that wound, that Chiron in Aries, that physical wound that you might have, something connected to your physical self, this, because Mercury in Virgo is a healing conversation, or it can be, it's just going to easily flow with whatever wound you're trying to heal as it relates to who you are. We'll also have Mercury in Virgo sextile Mars in Cancer. And so these kind of healing conversations, it's going to open up and create opportunity for you to maybe act differently, act out your emotions differently here, because it is an opportunity. So sextile, so it's an opportunity, Mars in Cancer. So there's something about the way that you're expressing yourself at home, acting out your feelings, things like that. This could indicate that maybe you're having some sort of healing conversation based on maybe an outburst that happened a few days before, because these are only 5 days apart. We'll also have Mercury in Virgo square Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so whatever healing conversations that you're having here, it is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to your relationship with money. So this could be something where maybe the acting out that you're doing does relate to money. Maybe there's something connected to that. This is where, if you're listening to this for your sun sign, maybe you want to listen to your rising sign and your moon sign to really understand how this specific transit is impacting you kind of 360. So that's how it is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge here to your relationship with money, the changes that are happening with that. We'll also have Mercury in Virgo square the moon in Scorpio. Now the moon in Scorpio for you is sitting in your 8th house. 8th house is transformation. Scorpio is transformation. Pluto is transformation. So it's really, if you think about that Pluto energy, this is really that energy in this kind of transit here. So with Mercury in Virgo, these healing conversations, these maybe detailed analytical conversations that you're having, it's creating some sort of obstacle or challenge for how you feel, or in the way that you're relating to this transformation that's taking place. Because that 8th house, I mean, that is transformation. It can be transformation. It can be other people's money as well. So 8th house, I don't really mention it as often as I do when it comes to like 2nd house, 8th house, but 8th house is the money that you would earn from a job. And so we've seen a lot of change maybe happening within your career. And so maybe some sort of conversation that you're having in your daily life, it's creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to any kind of transformation as it relates to the money that you bring in. Could be an inheritance, could be your spouse's income, all of these different things. But it doesn't have to just be about this kind of death and rebirth energy. It can also be about power and control issues too. Although I'm not picking up that sense as much as I am maybe other people's money because of the career impact, or it could just be this transformation. Then we have the full moon in the sign of Pisces. This one is significant here. So this one is on the 17th at 10:34 in the evening Eastern time. This one's actually a partial lunar eclipse. So we've been in Aries Libra eclipse season. We are transitioning into the Pisces Virgo eclipse season. And so what this means is Virgo is going to be the south node, Pisces is going to be the north node. The north node is the lessons that you need to learn. This is what you need to work on, the kind of action that you're kind of, I wouldn't say required to take, because this is really a destined, fated type of action, but it's really what lesson do you need to learn right now versus the south node, which is what you're already comfortable doing. And so this is kind of like the fallback default. I feel comfortable here. I don't need to work on this. But here I feel uncomfortable and I need to work on it. And so that's kind of what the eclipse energy does here. And so with this partial lunar eclipse for you, and this is really kind of the precursor to this next round of eclipse, it's going to be a 6th house, 12th house. So your daily life. So just the things that you do on a regular basis versus your internal self. So expressing yourself in your daily life. So that's Sun in Virgo, 6th house energy, healing expressions, conversations. It's going to be directly opposite about how you feel about yourself. Are you compromising yourself more than maybe you thought you should, or maybe that you would have historically? That would be one of these kind of opposition energies where it's a push-pull and you just kind of have to figure out where that middle ground really is. During this partial lunar eclipse, this full moon, the planets all talk to each other just a little bit differently. And so here we have the sun in Virgo will trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so this is all earth energy. So this is really grounded, very practical energy. And so however you're expressing yourself in your daily life, whatever these healing conversations are, it's easily going to flow with whatever changes are happening as it relates to your personal finances. So whatever your relationship is with money or the things that you value, easy blend of energy here. The moon in Pisces will sextile Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so how you feel about yourself internally is going to create some sort of opportunity for you to maybe embrace more changes that are happening in your relationship with money and your, or the things that you value here. We'll also have the sun in Virgo trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so when it comes to those healing conversations, the way that you're expressing yourself in your daily life, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes you want to happen within your career. So very easy alignment here, no additional work necessary. Now, there is an opportunity here. So the moon in Pisces will sextile Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so how you feel about yourself and who you want to be and how eventually how you want to be seen publicly, but it really starts internal again. It's going to create some sort of opportunity for you to make more changes as it relates to your career, or maybe it'll help inform the changes that you're making there. It's an opportunity. You would have to seize it. Then we have the sun and the moon. They're actually in a T-square with Jupiter and Gemini. And so what this means is that they're both going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge here. So however you're expressing yourself in your daily life, however you feel about yourself on the inside, and how you want to feel about yourself on the inside, it is creating challenges to any kind of conversations that you want to have as it relates to your personal growth or expansion in that way. But again, these are squares to Jupiter, and Jupiter being the most benefic planet, it's going to be a little bit easier to work with than other squares. Then we have the sun in Virgo opposite Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so with the sun in Virgo sitting in your 6th house, so again, how you're expressing yourself in your daily life, those healing conversations, it's going to be opposite this, how you feel about yourself. How do you want to be? Who do you want to be on the inside? And so it just seems like an external, internal kind of conflict here. You would just have to find that happy medium if you want to work through that energy. We'll also have the moon in Pisces conjunct Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so how you feel about yourself on the inside fully aligns and blends with who you want to be. Really that kind of ideal persona inside, easy flow of energy. It's a conjunction. It's an overlapping of energy. Then on the 22nd, we'll have the sun enter the sign of Libra. So that's going to happen at 8:44 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, so we've got the sun in Libra. So the sun is all about how you express yourself, Libra. Let's bring some balance into the conversation. Let's kind of level things out. It's going to trine moon in Gemini. And so how you feel about your communication easily flows with any kind of conversations you're having with your significant other, because that is where the sun in Libra sits for you. It's sitting in that house of significant relationships, your marriage partner, if you're married, that one-to-one relationship. And so again, easily flowing. If you're looking to have very emotionally connected conversations with that person, things that really take it to a very deep, detailed level, this is the transit for you. We'll also have the sun in Libra trine Uranus retrograding in Taurus. And so any kind of balanced expression that's occurring, any kind of conversations that are happening with you and your significant other, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes are happening as it relates to your money and your relationship with that money and maybe the things that you value here. So again, easy flow of energy, no additional work required for you. We'll also have the sun in Libra trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so how you're expressing yourself, or maybe finding some sort of balance within this marriage, significant connection here, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes are taking place within your career or whatever you're trying to do from a career standpoint. All of this is going to fully align. And then we'll have the sun in Libra will square Jupiter and Gemini. And so this one here, any kind of the way that you're expressing yourself with your significant other, the balanced conversations the two of you might be having, it is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge. So it's more about like leveling the playing field. Let's get things back to kind of a harmonious level before we try and grow and deepen this piece of the connection. So there's some kind of different things happening here. If you wanted to maybe grow the relationship in a different way versus like an emotional growth, it's yes to an emotional growth, and a little bit more difficult if you were to maybe take it to the next level. Like maybe you're not married yet, maybe you just live together, but is now the right time to have the conversation to get married or something like that. Again, square Jupiter, so easier energy to work with than other squares, but you just have to work through it. And then we have the Sun in Libra opposite Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so here, any kind of balanced conversations that you might be having, any kind of anything here within the connection with this other person where you're trying to really balance things out, it's going to be opposite to Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So any way that you want to see yourself, that internal persona, and it's almost, again, I think I said it earlier, it feels like I said it earlier, but kind of finding that balance between the way that you're expressing yourself and compromising maybe within this relationship. Is that really who you want to be? Is that how you want to be seen? So it's an opposite energy. You can find the happy medium. It just does require some effort on your part. And then on the 22nd at 10:36 p.m., so right after the sun enters the sign of Libra, same day, we have Venus enter the sign of Scorpio. So Venus and Scorpio. So Scorpio energy is very transformational, but Venus and Scorpio is a very loyal energy. This is a very passionate, it's kind of like, I say this as somebody who has Venus in the sign of Scorpio. It's like, once I decide to attach to you, I'm attached, and that's it. You have my loyalty until you destroy it. And that's the Venus and Scorpio energy. It's like, once you make a decision, this is what you're going to do, this is who you're going to be loyal to, that is it. Nothing will get you off path unless something catastrophic happens here. So just keep in mind that Venus and Scorpio energy can be very passionate and very loyal. And it's going to trine Jupiter and Gemini. So when it comes to those conversations you might want to have, growing something, really expanding upon something here, we've got Venus and Scorpio sitting in your 8th house. So this is transformation. Scorpio and the 8th house are both about transformation. So what kind of transformation needs to take place in order for things to come together? What kind of conversations do you want to have to grow something here? So this could be with your commitment, your significant other in some sort of way. This is where you would probably want to read or listen to your other signs to see what the impact is. We'll also have Venus and Scorpio square Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So there's something here about this transformation and the way that it's impacting you that is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to any kind of change that you're trying to make from a career perspective. And so it's a square, you're gonna have to work through it, but this Venus and Scorpio, I mean, it's transformational energy anyway. So it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's easier, but you're going to have like pretty clear lines drawn for yourself that you're going to say, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm passionate about. This is what I'm going to be loyal to, because that Venus and Scorpio can be, once I make up my mind, I'm going to be loyal. And then on the 26th at 4:09 in the morning Eastern time, we have Mercury enter the sign of Libra. And so now this is balanced conversations again, because Libra likes balance, and we've had it with the sun in Libra, Mercury in Libra. Lots of balanced conversations here because, as you can imagine, the Mercury entering right after the sun enters the sign of Libra, they're pretty close in proximity. And so lots of balanced conversation within that significant relationship for you. We'll also have Mercury in Libra trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So again, balanced conversation with your significant other easily flows with whatever changes are taking place in your personal finances, in the things that you value here. We'll also have Mercury in Libra trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So again, that balanced conversation, it feels like at this point your relationship is pretty much back on track, if it was ever off track, but it just feels like really solid right now. And it's going to easily flow with whatever changes are taking place in your career or public reputation. Then we have Mercury in Libra square Jupiter and Gemini. And so again, kind of focused more on the balancing versus the growth aspect of the communication and the relationship here, because Mercury in Libra is going to be square Jupiter in Gemini, which Jupiter in Gemini, and this is sitting in your house of communication. And so if you were looking to grow and expand the actual relationship, it's almost like right now, let's just kind of keep things steady. Let's not rock the boat here. And then we have Mercury in Libra opposite Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And that's not a surprise because we saw this when the sun entered the sign of Libra. And so Mercury in Libra, balanced conversation with your significant other. It's going to be contradicting or just contrary to how you feel about yourself. What is your ideal self here? And so that Neptune retrograde in Pisces, it almost like you're reevaluating your dreams anyway. So how do you kind of make all of this work together? And that's that opposite energy. You can find this happy medium between being happy in this relationship and being happy with who you are and the person that you want to be. And so really trying to figure all of that out. So Aries, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.